back to today's episode of the Dementia Road, where we will be talking about not only power of attorneys, like I promised you, but how to choose a lawyer. Stay tuned for that fun. So let me do some housekeeping, please. If you like this channel or you know others who you think would benefit from it, please subscribe and like and share my videos. That helps me out, that gets the metrics up and makes it easier to find my channel. So the first thing we're going to talk about today, let me pick myself up. The first thing we're going to talk about today is choosing a lawyer. I thought I'd put that ahead of the power of attorney because it does take time if you don't already have a lawyer. And usually there's two types of lawyers involved in this. But first, speaking of lawyers, my legal disclaimer. Hold please. Neither the Dementia Road YouTube channel nor any related affiliates are giving legal advice. The materials presented are for informational purposes only. It is not intended to provide legal counsel or legal advice. You should consult your own attorney before making any legal decisions or transactions. I am not a lawyer. The information contained in this video is for entertainment purposes only. I am relating my personal experience, which is not your personal experience. Before making any decisions, you should consult a lawyer of your choosing who is aware of the laws in your state as well as any laws concerning your specific situation. The Dementia Road and any affiliates shall not be held responsible for your legal decisions. Thank you for that public service announcement. Now, on to the types of lawyers that generally handle this. An estate lawyer or an elder care lawyer. They're a little bit different, but they're kind of the same. So if your parents have an estate lawyer and have a bunch of stuff and they've set it all up, your estate lawyer may work. So estate lawyers plan for your ultimate death and they take into account all your stuff. You know, they've got houses or camps or vacation homes or wills. They do all sorts of trusts. They do kind of the same things. They can handle a power of attorney, all those things. So they're planning for the distribution upon your death and helping you to shelter like from taxes and things of that nature. An elder care lawyer. An elder care lawyer is someone who looks at the current situation of the senior and decides, okay, how do we handle this? They want to preserve the assets while getting you the services that you will need should someone become incapacitated. Estate lawyers technically can handle that. You're going to really have to quiz your estate lawyer on things like that. They may or may not know. It just depends. Everybody's a little bit different, and your state may be very different from my state. My parents and my in-laws both had an estate lawyer, just basic general stuff like the wills, you know, everything's getting left to. But when we got into this, we ended up using an elder care lawyer. And the elder care lawyer, I'll talk about the one that I used. So I used an elder care lawyer, and I would definitely say he's done a great job for us. He was a little better versed. I didn't care for their estate lawyer. I didn't even know him. I just know they went and got stuff set up once, and that was it. I do want you to know though that these lawyers, if you get on the web, this is your homework. You're gonna hear me say this a couple times. Get on the internet, look around for elder care planners in your area. Even if your parents already have an estate planner, because very often, at least around here, elder care lawyers offer free seminars like at a hotel for maybe an hour. There's no charge. I didn't go to the seminar. The lawyer actually offered it right in his office, and I went there. My mother went, and we discussed everything. There was no charge. So if you're thinking you can't afford an attorney, or your parents already have an elder care lawyer, or an estate lawyer, you may want to go just to arm yourself with information. They're very helpful. At the very least, you are going to need a power of attorney if one is not in place. We paid around $400 for one. I don't know what the rates vary from place to place, city to city, and lawyer to lawyer. But that was the going rate at the time. The more information you have, the better you're going to make out. And it also takes sometimes a few weeks to get an appointment with an attorney or with the seminars coming up. So I thought I'd give you this first, so while we discuss all the funds of the legal paperwork, that you have a chance to do that and make appointments. So I'm going to tell you, because we've been through this, the questions that you need to ask a lawyer. We had an elder care lawyer that technically disclosed that they were working for the place that our parents went to. Technically. Never did they explain to us the conflict of interest that went with it. We had no idea. We just went, okay. And in that, it didn't go well for my in-laws. It didn't go well. Things were done that never should have been done, and a lot of things were lost that shouldn't have been lost. Just throwing that right out there. So the number one question you are going to ask is, do you or does anybody in your firm represent any assisted living facility or any nursing home in this area? If the answer is yes, you either hang up the phone, get up out of the chair, and leave that office immediately, if not sooner. No lie, just wrong person. The next question you're going to want to look for is, how do they base their fees? We've dealt with two different ways. One was approximately $300 an hour. Every phone call was billed, every email was billed. They cut it out in like 10 or 15 minute increments, and that's how they bill you. I don't know if it's more or less expensive. It just depends on how you use them. The elder care lawyer I used for my mother, they were just a flat rate. So it was $400 for a POA, $400 to do transfer a will, blah, blah, blah. And they were just a flat rate. And it was easy peasy. And they also offered a retainer fee, a yearly retainer fee. And I would ask that question as well, in that, do you offer a yearly retainer fee where I can email you, call you, meet with you, whatever, and it costs me X number of dollars. In my case, my mother's lawyer is a mere $250 a year. Some years I have not contacted them. Others I had to go in and meet with him as we were getting ready to do assisted living. And he said, anything that changes, you need to come in and see me or give a call. I have talked to his paralegal multiple times, and they have been very helpful. And it was $250. There was no bills coming to my house. I like it that way. I hate getting, this was 10 minutes, this was 15 minutes. I just hate it. I had enough to do than worry about all that stuff. If you cannot afford an attorney, and you need things like a power of attorney, if somebody owns a house, you're going to want an attorney. If you have any chance of saving anything. And like I said, if you go to the freebie seminars, you will find these things out. But if you can't afford an attorney, I would look at a few different places. Check with the Alzheimer's Association. They may be able to help you. Check with your local Office of the Aging. They may be able to help you. Where I live, there is a university that has a law college where the students actually do free legal stuff, some of the simple stuff, based, I believe, on need. I don't know if they make you show your income. I don't know anything about it, but I do know people who have used it and it's worked out very well for them. You might have something like that. You're gonna have to look around, but you're gonna need some information. That's the thing on the lawyer. Your homework is, for the lawyer, decide, do you want an elder care lawyer? Do you want an estate lawyer? Go find a free seminar. If your parents already have one, go to a seminar anyways. Really, go to one anyways. Find out, ask the questions, find out what their fees and rates are. Number one homework assignment. Number two, here comes the thrilling, exciting part. I'm not trying to attempt to hold this up. This is a power of attorney. New York statutory short form. As I said yesterday, there are several types of power of attorneys. There are durable power of attorneys. There are non-durable powers of attorney. There are springing powers of attorney. There are also some states you have to have a health care power of attorney. New York State requires a health care proxy. Totally different. But the lawyer does handle that too, I think. I just had him throw the whole thing. I think he charges $30 to do that. I don't even know how that works if you really need a lawyer if you have a healthcare or to get a healthcare proxy. Don't know. Not a lawyer. Disclaimer. You'll need to find that out though as to how to make decisions for them. So, the excitement of the power of attorney. Page 1. I am not going to go through this whole thing. I don't understand some of the legalities of the wording. The lawyer explained it all to me. But what happens is, basically the front page said, here's what happens. Your agent, which is me in this case, can act on your behalf after signing the power of attorney. Has to be a notary in New York. You can request information from your agent at any time. You can also terminate your power of attorney at any time for any reason as long as you are of sound mind. A court can remove an agent acting improperly. And it says here your agent cannot make health decisions for you. New York State healthcare proxy says it right there. It gives the general laws, designates my mom and me on the bottom. And then there's also what's called, on ours, a designation of a successor agent, which means something happens to me or I don't want to do it anymore because it sucks. I can, in this case, toss it to my brother and make him do it. But he lives out of state, so that's stupid. So the person that lives closest or is the most responsible, not that my brother's irresponsible, just I happen to live here. That's who you want, who's going to do the majority of this. So my brother, he is the second in command if something happens. And it goes along and it says, and my mother initialed at the end. So here's what I can do on my power of attorney. They can pick and choose any of these. So I can do real estate. So I sold her house. I can bank for her. I can do any business transactions, any insurance transactions, any estate transactions. I can deal with gifts. That's another thing in New York State. There's a gift writer. Another story. I can deal with any military, any Social Security, any taxes, any retirements, everything. So there are also things they can modify and say, no, you can't do. Okay? Like I said, attorney, attorney, attorney. My mother granted me everything under the sun. She granted me everything. There were no exclusions in my case. And certain gifts transaction, I'll show you that. Termination, like if you want to terminate it, you can, unless you are not of sound mind. And then there's the agent. That's me. And it tells me what I can and can't do. Okay? I have to act in my mother's best interest. I cannot go out and buy her a new Mercedes Benz and drive it around because I really bought it for myself. You can't do stuff like that. I'd like to think children don't do that to their parents, but I know better. Avoid conflicts that would cause me to not act in my mom's best interest. I'm expected to keep a record of receipts, payments, and transactions. Should I need to show them, I cannot use any of her assets to benefit myself or make gifts to myself unless you have what's called a gifts writer. Things like that. I think that's all of it. If you have the authority, you must act accordingly to the instructions. You may resign by giving written notice, and there's limited liability. And my mom signed everything, and the lawyer signed everything. He was the notary. That's that. Forgot to mention, power of attorney ends upon death. You will need to find out from a lawyer what the next set of legal paperwork is you will need. In our case, it was an executor of the will. Okay? Again, I'm going to say this disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. You need one for your state and for your particular issue. The second thing I have, both my mother and my in-laws granted, it's called the Power of Attorney New York Statutory Gifts Rider. Can you see that? Gifts Rider. So what that allows you to do is gift things. It's just what it says. And I will tell you that it just says that you can give gifts to children and grandchildren and things like that. This does not mean you can empty their account. You are going to have to understand the laws that govern Medicaid, and you are going to have the lawyer explain this to you. So what we do is, at Christmas or birthdays, my mother and my mother-in-law would say, you know, send so-and-so, send my brother. Oh, it's his birthday, Mom. Do you want me to do anything? And she would say, could you send him $50? Or could you send him $100? That's no big deal. Same thing at Christmas. That's all. That's what it's for. It is not, again, let's go buy a new Mercedes. But hey, I just gifted my brother a Mercedes. No. You're going to be in big trouble for stuff like that. So you will need power of attorney to do everything. You'll need powers of attorney to access the bank. The banks, everybody's going to want one. Make sure you make like 1,000 copies of these. Some will want the original. They'll give it back to you, but a lot of times they want the actual original. They won't take a copy. Some government offices do not recognize the power of attorney. For example, the Social Security folks don't recognize it. The Veterans Administration, I don't believe recognized it, and yet they will want a copy of it. Don't ask. It doesn't even make sense to me. The Securities Exchange Commission, they are so tough sometimes, but they're all going to want these. Everybody's going to say, give me this before I answer any questions. I will tell you this, the best thing to do, I did it with my mom because I learned how not to do it with my in-laws. Plus they were farther down the road with the disease. I had my mother fill out all that paperwork before. So things like the cable TV, the phone bills. A lot of times, and there was a point in time where it was, I believe, Humana or whoever was our insurance. They would say, is there someone else? They would send a form. Is there someone else who we are allowed to speak to on your behalf? Get every one of them stinking things signed. You will be surprised how difficult. Our cable company was a nightmare. Really? Because people are calling, asking to pay my mom's cable bill. Holy crap. But they were very difficult. And they were like, nope, gotta have power of attorneys, can't even speak to you. And what I would do sometimes is I would make a phone call to someplace and I would say, you know, this is the story, this is what I'm looking for. I know you need my mom's. Okay, she's standing here. Can you give her a verbal okay? Or can she give you a verbal okay so I can speak to you on her behalf? They always said yes. My mom got on, confirmed her name, her address, social security number, account number, whatever it was. And then I would say, hi, I need to be put on her account or whatever it was, at least so you can manage things. It's so hard. You know, we learned this the hard way. We learned that we didn't have a right to anything. Like, it was just ugly for a while. Same thing with HIPAA. If you are not allowed to speak to the doctor, if they have not signed a thing that says you are allowed to get her medical information, go, if you haven't gone to the doctors with them yet, or you need to start going to the doctors with them, ask for one of those. If they will not sign it for you, because like I said, my mother-in-law was like, not signing anything, nothing's wrong, ever. She made it so hard. But she loved her primary care physician. And so we would grab them in the hallway. We would grab a nurse and say, here's what we're seeing, here's the issues, or whatever we wanted to talk about. We would catch them in the hallway and say, can you check this and can you check that? Just physical things. And we would say, you know, we don't have a HIPAA thing. Any chance you guys could get that and have her sign it? The doctor was just like the cousin lawyer. Oh, how about, you know, this would be a great idea because your kids, you know, if something happens, somebody needs it. Give me the pen. Where do I sign? My mother was totally different. She was like, find everything, get everything set, don't make this hard. So, your second set of homework for this is to find out, what type of power, look into power of attorneys, read and understand them for your state as best you can. You can Google a whole lot of stuff. And also find out, do you need a healthcare proxy? And you might already know this, but do you need a healthcare proxy? Or do you need a power of attorney healthcare directive? I don't know what they're called. We don't have them. Again, disclaimer, not a lawyer. Don't know what goes on in your state. Only can tell you what happened to me. But on that note, I'm going to say have a great day. Hopefully this wasn't too super long. I'm trying to keep them condensed for caretakers because I know we don't have a lot of time. So, on that note, have a great day. We'll be back next week.